On the news at 1, FCTA to compensate and relocate Abuja natives along the planned runway for the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport. Fulani Socio-Cultural Association, Miyeti Allah, Kautal Kore, throws weight behind President Bola Tinubu's renewed hope agenda. And correspondent raises awareness on global crime of enforced disappearances as the UN Assembly addresses issues associated.
A very good afternoon. Glad to have you join us on the 1 p.m. news on NTA Channel 5 Abuja, the Unity Station. I am Abdullah Hajia with the news. First, we begin from the presidency. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has approved the appointment of a new board and management team of the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC. Mr. Chedrebie will serve as chairman, while Dr. Samuel Obuku will serve as managing director and chief executive officer. The president expects that the new board and management team will ensure a new era of successful administration in the NDDC, in line with his renewed hope agenda. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has continued to receive commendations for his policy decision on the country's economy so far. An economist and revered entrepreneur in the banking sector, Tony Elumelu, who visited President Tinubu at the State House, acknowledges that the Nigerian leader has taken good decisions in the interest of the country. He implores Nigerians to be patient with the president to see the benefits yet to come of the decision.
The private sector is encouraged with the bold decisions President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has taken, and we hope that in the fullness of time, Nigerians will benefit from it, because it's all about Nigerian people. It's all about youth. It's all about making sure our women are involved and empowered. It's all about making sure our youth get jobs. And I think Mr. President has this at the back of his mind. And I believe, as a private sector person, that the actions and decisions the president is taking now, in the long run, will help our people. But a bit of patience, you know. Rome was not built in a day. One day, right?
Okay. Thank you very much. The lingering issues of compensation and relocation of the Abuja natives affected by the planned construction of the second runway for the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, has been put to rest, with the contractors being mobilized to site. FCT Minister Nyesom Wike gave this indication during a meeting with his aviation and aerospace development counterpart, Festus Keyamo, and other stakeholders. Onozi Yakubu reports.
This stakeholders' engagement is to resolve issues concerning the indigenous people of the FCT who were displaced by the planned construction of the second runway for the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja. 12,000 hectares of land has been provided by the FCT administration, but compensation and relocation yet to be addressed is hindering the commencement of the project, approved in March 2022 by the Federal Executive Council.
By the normal schedule for the second runway, we should be commissioning the second runway now. And we have not even mobilized to site now because of this little issue I met on the ground.
Our hope is that we have made things easier to see that between the administration of FCT and the aviation department should look at our community with good faith.
It is in the light of this that the two ministers and other critical stakeholders are interfacing to chart a way forward. At the end of the deliberations, all parties resolved to work on the same page for the benefit of the nation. FCT Minister Nyesom Wike read out the resolutions of the meeting.
The total value of what we are paying is 825,819,000 naira for the compensation and the settlement as part of incentives to placate the community 12 immediate employment from Ministry of Aviation or the aviation agencies as the case may be, and 10 from the Federal Capital Territory for the community called Jiwa. We are going to construct Tunga Madaki Bridge, which will be put in the 2024 budget. We are going to provide a better healthcare facility that is better than what is there now.
With this agreement reached by all parties, Yensen Wike says the construction of the second runway has come to stay, as contractors will be mobilized to site. Onoze Yakubu, NTA News.
Mieti Alakautal Hore, a Fulani Socio-Cultural Association, has thrown its weight behind the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for socio-economic developments of the country. The standpoint came on the heels of the annual general meeting of the association in Karu, Nasarawa State. Christy Ayagwa has the details.
The association, among other things, deliberated on ways that will better the lots of members in the areas of economy, security, justice, rights to peaceful association and movement across the country as enshrined in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
We don't want the government to criminalize us all. We are not criminals.
The Inspector General of Police to take proactive measures to protect Fulani pastoralists across the country from tribal hordes, ethnic militias, and state-sponsored vigilantes.
We should assist the government in its quest to promote peaceful coexistence, irrespective of our tribal differences.
The Cultural Association thanked President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for considering some people of the Fulani extractions worthy of appointments in his renewed Hope administration.
The security agencies to commence the process of detailed documentation of violence against pastoralists, including the collection of exhibits and all relevant information to isolate the perpetrators of the violence, arrest them, prosecute them to ensure there is justice.
Highlight of the meeting was inauguration of 3 ad hoc committees, which include 55-man legal team to serve as mediators between herders and farmers, a committee on nomadic education, as well as vigilante group. From Karo local government area, Christy Ayagwa, NTA News.
Talking security, Commissioner of Police FCT Haruna Garba has enjoined residents of the FCT to discontinue circulation of voice recording by one Mr. West Robinson, making the rounds on use of local and foreign number plates so as not to create panic and apprehension in the populace. A statement signed by the command's public relations officer, Superintendent of Police Josephine Ade, said there is an ongoing clampdown on the described vehicles as the CP emphasizes the command's commitment to improving the overall security towards the protection of lives and property of residents. The statement equally enjoins the good people of the territory to be vigilant and take advantage of the police emergency lines in reporting suspicious activities. In another statement concerning developments around the Secretariat of the National Union of Road Transport Workers, NURTW, the command says it is essential to clarify that the deployment of police personnel to the headquarters of the union is solely to revert impending bloodletting and clash between two factional groups led by Tajuddin Barua and Basiru Abidi. The statement clarified that the primary duty of the police is to ensure the safety and security of all citizens, and this includes preventing the breakdown of law and order. It adds that in situations where there are concerns about potential violence, unrest, or disputes that may escalate into violence, the police are obligated to take preventive measures to protect lives and property, stating that the deployment of police personnel to the NURT Secretariat is not an act of interference in the internal affairs of the union, rather a proactive step to forestall any potential violence or illegal actions. Meanwhile, FCT National Union of Road Transport Workers are calling on the federal government to wade into the issue of power tussle in the union and bring lasting solution to all parties in the matter. The members of the union made the call in Abuja in a press briefing following the attack and takeover of the National Secretariat by a faction. Sefia Nyomauche reports.
The National Union of Road Transport Workers converged on Abuja following the need to resolve disputes by factions and the tussle for leadership. Members described the attack of the Secretariat at Grekitu, Abuja by hired thugs as unfortunate. FCT chairman of the union says the union is a respected one and must maintain the guidelines approved for dispute resolution.
Over 7 hillocks full of armed policemen storms the national secretariat of the union and sealing it off, as well as chasing away the delegate and the staff of the union. We are hereby using these mediums to call President Ahmed Bola Tinubu to intervene as a matter of urgency and necessary to avoid any breakdown of law and order.
Condemning thuggery in very strong terms, they further appealed to the federal government to fish out those perpetrating harassment and intimidation of workers. Sofia Noma Uche, NTA News.
You're watching the 1 p.m. news on NTA Channel 5 Abuja. Still to come on the news. Correspondent raises awareness on global crime of enforced disappearances as the UN Assembly addresses issues associated. These and more in just a moment.
Good evening, glad to have you join us.
Thanks for joining us on Weekly News Wrap.
Thank you very much for having me.
And it is on that note we welcome you to today's edition of the program.
We celebrate creativity, lasting impressions.
There's no book stating that this is the role for men.
On the news.
On the news at 7.
The Media Station, NTA Channel 5, Abuja.
Would say have a lovely day.
Thank you for staying tuned. Now, they exist in cities usually to provide alternative and low-budget shelter for low-income earners. But recently, slums in the Federal Capital Territory have been fingered by security observers to pose a threat to the security architecture of the nation's capital. This is because the locations have become safe haven for criminals and hideouts. What measures are the authorities taking to arrest the trend? This is what Onotu Yakubu will find out.
From Durumi to Mabushi, Garki Village, Gishiri and Karumajigi on the airport road, among others, are illegal structures which are counterproductive to Abuja master plan. In this form, they also serve as makeshift shelter for those who may be unable to cope with the reality of choice accommodations in Abuja. But beyond this fact, also speaks to the reality of threats these locations harbor against security of residents.
Some places here, if you go, you see a house under the bush, which a woman being cannot stay there in the daytime. You go there, you see a lady's bags, you see a wallet, you see so many things there. It's happening here in Gishiri here. And it's a serious note. If government can have anything to do about it, they should do it.
To my left is the Minister's Hill, located in Maitama, one of the highly exclusive residential locations in Nigeria's Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. Now, the reality around this environment is that this highway interchange is the only boundary between Maitama to my left and Gishiri, one of the slums located in Abuja that has over time provided safe haven for suspected criminals who come in occasionally to take shelter. The proximity between Maitama and Gishiri gives credence to the reality and challenges that residents of these highbrow areas in the city are faced with on a daily basis of threats to lives and property of residents in the Federal Capital Territory. Gishiri is notorious for crime and criminality in Mabushe and environs, as residents' accounts indicate network of suspected criminal syndicates operating in the areas linked to Mpape and as far as Mararaba.
People have been trying to their own best to see that when there's any new face within the domain, they give report and we intervene and see. We give interview, or sometimes we report to the police to go and do their investigation.
While cults and gangster syndicates hold sway with armed robbery, bulldozers of the FCT administration are constantly in overdrive to some of these locations to arrest excesses. This is in addition to the sustained raid of such high-risk areas by Security Joint Task Force led by the FCT Police Command.
Aside that, with the intelligence bureau from the command, SIB, have been deployed. They are living among those people to gather intelligence, and we've been working on it a lot. A lot of raids have been conducted, and a lot of achievements have been gotten.
While these reactive efforts are being put in place, residents are hopeful that the remedial measures will yield respite.
In a related development, Assistant Inspector General of Police in charge of Zone 7, Adebowale Williams, says the police force is constantly re-strategizing its tactics to fortify interstate security, especially in the North Central, for enhanced security. AIG Adebowale Williams gave the assurance while responding to questions on Call the Police weekly security check program, where Adiza Godunebune monitored.
Niger and Nasarawa are two contiguous states to the Federal Capital Territory, which has been in the last couple of weeks under threat of banditry and sundry security challenges. These developments generate worries among FCT residents, especially with the history of Interstate. Williams, who supervises FCT and these states, says there should be no cause for worry for residents as the police is working round the clock to provide security.
The analysis we have done, we have economic, political challenges that are part of the causes of these problems, and we are also looking into use of technology, improving on the intelligence, and like the Inspector General of Police program of setting up intervention units. When we get this intel, we're able to respond promptly and nip the crisis in the bud.
AIG Adebowale indicated that the concerned stakeholders are constantly reviewing operational models and strategies to contain interstate crime and make the FCT a desired destination for growth and development. Hadiza Godwin-Ebuni, NTA News.
The International Day of Victims of Enforced Disappearance is observed every year on August 30. Asabe Williams reported that the day is dedicated to raising awareness about the global crime of enforced disappearance, which is the arrest, detention, abduction, or other deprivation of liberty by agents of the state or by persons or groups of persons acting with the authorization, support, or approval of the state.
Enforced disappearance is a serious violation of human rights. It is a crime against humanity and a war crime. It is a form of torture and a cruel, inhuman, and degrading treatment. Records indicate that there are millions of victims of enforced disappearances around the world, and they are from all walks of life and from all countries.
There are countless victims of enforced disappearance around the world. This means a state actor or a third party acting on their behalf abducted or imprisoned them without acknowledging it. These disappearances are often attempts to silence the person or erase their very existence.
Research reveals that men and women are victims of this act, with governments, armed groups, and other actors identified as core